Welcome back for part 19 of the Dungeons & Dragons Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden book series. Now for part 19, let's consider character creation. If you were going to play through Icewind Dale, what character would you want? And there are so many things to consider when you just think about in this icy environment, the cold you got to face, and you can just imagine the creatures you're going to come up on. So if you're going to create a character, now what are you going to want to have and why? The authors tell you through this book, you could definitely go from levels 1 to 12. And 12 is definitely doable because character advancement through this book is not so much XP based as it is achievement. The DM's told once they have this done and that done and so on, up them a level. Because of course they've got to advance quite a bit to go throughout these chapters or they're never going to stand a chance. So regardless of XP, they're going to hit certain levels. And they tell you by the time you get to the end, somebody could easily be level 12. Well, let's just say they get to level 10. So let's keep it just a little bit conservative right there and say, well, what are you going to want to play if you're going to make it all the way through this book series? Well, think about race. Which one would you choose and why? Right? There's going to be some advantages and disadvantages to different ones. Think about your class or multi-class that you want to pick. So many options. Think about the icy environment. You got some good ones available, others maybe not so much. What path would you take under each one of these classes? And if you have spells, which ones would you want and why? Think about special magic items. You're not going to start off with any at level 1, but there are tons of them throughout this book. So you're going to end up with some items. Think about the ones that would be the most beneficial to you. What about general equipment? Cold environment, you're going to need some darn good clothes. Think about suggestions for any topic of character creation. Doesn't matter what it may be. Tell us about in the comments down below what you would want your character to have. What do you want them to be able to do? Just whatever you want, make suggestions. And of course, if you think about things to consider, the cold's number 1. Travel is a huge one. People aren't going to realize how difficult travel is going to be until the DM starts to explain it to them. Think about food, spells, languages, opponents, whatever. You got a lot of things to consider. So as I thought about what would I want to be playing through this game, I thought I'm going to go with Dragonborn, and I'm going to go with the white ancestry. Now, of course, it's not about the breath weapon, absolutely. It's about the cold resistance. Now, there's still a lot of opponents you'll face where that breath weapon could be used if you want it, but the cold resistance is going to be huge. How nice would it be in this environment if you just almost never have to worry about that? Going for class, I'd go with Druid. If you look at the incredibly difficult terrain on top of the environment, being able to have those B shapes is going to be huge. So many other characters are going to be at a disadvantage and moving so slow, if at all, where you can B shape and move right on along. Think about once you get to higher levels and you've got the swim ability and you've got the flying. That's going to be so handy. So to start this Druid Dragonborn off right here, I just went with the point buy system, and you can see what numbers I pulled out right here through the point buy. And then, of course, you add the few extras right there for the Dragonborn. That would be the final tally right down there at the bottom. So I'd go with the Outlander background. Look at what this one's going to give you skill proficiencies in. Athletics and survival. How great will that be for Icewind Dale? They also throw in a hunting trap. That might be handy here too. I'd take a skill and perception. I always like that one right there. And for languages, I'd go with giant. That could be handy throughout here. Starting equipment, not important. Wooden shield, scimitar, leather armor, staff, all that's just sort of basic. Now think about as you level up here. 4th level, I'd go with Warcaster. It's always a good feat to have if you're going to do the beast shapes, which you definitely will here. It's going to give me advantage with our Constitution saving throws. Helps to cast spells when holding a sword and shield, which is definitely possible. And I might be able to cast a spell with a reaction on opportunity attacks. Those will come about. 8th level, I take the toughness feat. Since we're going to consider this character going up to level 10, that's going to be an extra 20 hit points right there. And at 10th level, we'll get to wild shape into all those elemental forms. Air, earth, fire, and water. And once you hit level 10 as a druid and can change into those elemental shapes, those are often your best choices right there. But looking at some other wild shapes, at level 10, you could go up to CR3. Remember, you always divide your level by 3 to get your maximum CR right there. And of course, by that time, you've got your flying and your swim speeds. So think about what would you want to be shaped into if you're going to be in the snow? How about if you're going to be in icy water? What about up in the mountains where you just keep running into dead ends and keep having to backtracking in this game? What about when you're facing certain opponents, whatever those may be? So looking at some good wild shape options, CR3, you got the giant scorpion with its multi-attack. It's a great one there. The giant snapping turtle with that armor class and hit points. How about a killer whale in the water? How nice would that be? As you're out moving about, polar bear is a great one. And of course at CR2, the giant constrictor snake, the giant elk would be great for this one here. How about a shark when you're out in the water right there? Saber-toothed tiger do great. CR1s that are always good, dire wolf. How about the giant eagle? When you're in the mountains and travel is just incredibly slow and you keep having to backtrack, go giant eagle and just fly wherever you want. You're going to get there 10 times faster, if not more. That giant hyena at CR1 has great hit points. Look at the giant octopus in the water with the grappling. And the giant spider, too. Maybe you need to climb up a straight vertical surface. You got web as a missile weapon and so on down the line. And looking back at those elementals right there, again, these things are great. Once you get to where a druid can change into these, there aren't too many options you probably need to look at. Look at how good fire elemental would be in this one right here. And then if you just think about these elementals, look at the resistances. Often you're going to have double the hit points you see up here because of those resistances. Look at the condition immunities. Look at all the things that makes you immune to right there. If you decide to go Earth, look at that armor class 17, 126. That's going to turn into 252 hit points in many cases there. Then, of course, you still got air and water elemental if you want those. That's just a hard group to get past. Look at spells. Going all the way back to the beginning with cantrips. Create bonfire, produce flame could be very handy. Druid craft and guidance always are. First level, go with Goodberry. Food can be very scarce out here, and you got to consider what you're carrying because your travel is very slow and you got some long trips to some of these destinations. Healing Word, always great for picking up people get knocked down to 0. Dark vision for this character could be useful, or you could just change into a beast shape that has dark vision, whatever you like. Healing Spirit's always a good healing spell at level 2. Protection from energy. How many other players with you are going to be asking you for this one? Conjure animals I love, especially when you get a bunch of large number of opponents. You want to scatter out the damage, or even against a boss, conjure up a large number of wolves or something and pick away at them. Hard to beat that spell right there at level 3. 4th level, Polymorph. Add that to your beast shapes there. How good will that be? Stone Skin, Wall of Fire, all great ones. Hit 5th level, Conjure Elementals. Mass Cure Wounds, and Reincarnate. Somebody might even end up needing that right there. Think about what magic items you might want to take with you. How about an armor resistance? A lot of you fighters going to do good having that right there. Boots of the Winterlands. Remember, that's not just cold resistance, but that makes it where you can travel over this difficult terrain so much faster. Dragon Scale Mail for resistance there. How about a Flame Tongue Sword? Potions of Resistance, Ring of Resistance, Ring of Warmth, Staff of Frost, Sunblade, Wand of Fireballs. All those could be very, very useful. So just think about what would you want to be? What would you want to create? What would you want to go through this terrain in? Think about it. Give me any and all comments down at the bottom. People are going to have some great suggestions. So I look forward to hearing them. Until then, good luck and good gaming.